I've used behavioral science to generate millions of dollars in extra revenue for the businesses I consult for. And the crazy part is the changes that I make usually just come down to 1 or 2 sentences. And I've learned over time that if you aren't using urgency or scarcity properly, you are literally leaving 40% of the revenue that you could potentially earn on the table. And in this video today, I'm going to show you the real psychology behind how to use them without sounding fake, pushy, or manipulative. Let me show you a really interesting experiment, and it's research into urgency and scarcity. We'll look at the cookie experiment, this was called. Now, in this 1970s study, researchers asked people to rate the taste and the value of chocolate chip cookies. They got the participants to try cookies from 2 different jars. One jar had 10 cookies in it, which is the abundant condition, and the other jar had 2 cookies in it. The interesting thing is that the participants mostly said that the cookies in jar 2 with only 2 cookies in it were much better. But what they didn't know is that the cookies in both of the jars are actually exactly the same. And this is the basic principle of scarcity. When something is rare, we automatically assume it's more valuable. The quality of the cookie didn't actually change, but our perception instead did. Nothing about the cookie itself changed, but our perception based on how available it was. The participants came back, they said the cookies looked better in the jar with only 2 cookies. They wanted to eat more of them, they were tastier. The cookies actually should be more expensive when they were asked to rate the value. And they did a follow-up study, which is even more interesting. This time, everyone saw a jar with 10 cookies. But right before the tasting, the researcher came in and apologized and said he's made a mistake and we need to reduce the jar of 10 cookies down to 2. Before we start the experiment. So there you go, took 10 cookies, reduced them to 2. And the result was that people rated those cookies in that jar even higher than before. And this shows that not only is scarcity powerful, but newly created scarcity, watching something become scarce, is even stronger. And that's where we get that FOMO, the fear of missing out. That's where it really kicks in. And they did a whole bunch of different experiments exactly like this, and it showed exactly the same thing. That when things are in limited quantity or things are have a limited time limit, we have this weird tendency in us to value it more. And so this only happens when something is genuinely limited. And so if you look at like your sales or your marketing, there is usually some sort of constraint somewhere. So for instance, how can you limit what you are saying to the people about your service or about your product or about, your coaching? How can you put a limit on that which will have this knock-on effect of making it feel more valuable? I'm going to show you a quick example of exactly where this happened. One of the organizations that I helped, they were sending out emails to people that were asking their customers, their client base, bearing in mind they have over 1 million different clients, right? Ex and current clients as well. They were asking these clients to leave them a review, and they were getting okay responses just based on their brand, based on their authority. But I told them it doesn't feel like we're using any type of scarcity or urgency here to encourage people to, to drive the action of a person to get them to leave a review. And so what we did instead is I told them, how can we take this typical email that we are sending out here, asking people for a review, and put a bit of urgency on it? Well, we could do an email sequence, and as part of that sequence, on the last email we send out requesting for a review, we can tell the people this is going to be our last email about this. So check out the results of this. The only line that changed is this will be our final email about this. And as a result, 50% of extra reviews came from that, just from that single line there. Now that's just asking people for a review. But if you find a way to put that in your sales, telling people how many spots you have left of your program, if you're selling a program, or your service, right? Telling people that only so many of these products are available. Telling people that the discount that you've put on your, your service or your product or whatever is going to end this Friday at midnight. If you do something like that, people have this tendency to value it more. And because they value it more, they end up not being able to focus on anything else. And the thing is like, this is so embedded in our psychology that basically, if you look around your typical day-to-day life, if you look at anything, if you look at how you react to anything, you will generally prioritize the things which have a bit of urgency on them. You know, procrastinators who play video games. I know I used to do exactly this, right? I used to get in from work at night. I know I needed to work on my business, but I would think to myself, you know what? I really want to just chill out and play video games because I know that I'm not going to have this opportunity tomorrow morning by the time I need to, you know, start my job again. So like, it's this amount of limited time that I can spend playing on video games. So instead, I would just basically prioritize my time and play on the video games rather than doing anything business related, because I knew to entertain myself, that was the only thing I could do. So it works, and like all of our psychology is baked in to basically everything that we do, and we're evolutionarily wired to look for scarce resources. Okay, so work out how you can put that in your marketing. Okay, I've done a full breakdown of urgency and scarcity. It was a presentation, a workshop that I delivered for an organization. I've actually got it on my channel here. So if you want to go and watch that, you want more detail about this, click on the video now, and I will see you in that one. Take care.